name is Xavier Banini. I'm here to do a presentation briefly as we take this course, inspection and investigation. I'm presenting a double murder interrogative case in a PowerPoint version. The topic is double murder interrogation on Roy Fraser. Introduction to the case. We'll look at the background of the case and the investigation. We'll look at the line of questioning by the lawyer or the detective, indicator of truthfulness observed. We'll also look at deception indicators. We'll look at investigative and interviewing. Then final but not the least, we'll do observation and conclusion. The background of the case and the investigation. Yaris has been staying with the 53-year-old Roy Frederick Fraser on his 22-acre property in Coop Lake, Canada. Yaris and Max went to Fraser's house to pick some furniture. Detectives say Fraser was upset with Yaris for borrowing and keeping his truck, and that some marijuana grow operations played a role in the altercation between Frederick and Yaris. This led to Frederick shooting Damien and Kenneth Yaris. Both are friends, in the back of their head before burying their bodies in a shallow grave on his property. During the investigation, police found evidence of the murders that took place: a .22 caliber rifle that was buried in the ground nearby, bullets casing found near the front steps of his house. Using limonol, forensic investigators found blood in Max van, or blood excavator that believed took the bodies of the two boys to the backyard where he buried them. So with regards to this, there will be someone to look into this. They are what we normally call those investigators and detectives. So I'm going to look at it from this standpoint, a line of questioning by lawyers or the detective. The detective and lawyers employ different lines of questioning in order to achieve their objective. In the Fraser case, the detective adopted both open and closed-ended questioning, but dwelled more on open-ended questions. His purpose of making use of open-ended question was to update and confirm with the suspect the information he already has. It was also for the purpose of establishing falsehood or truthfulness by his own statement. Some examples of open-ended question asks the suspect. One of those questions will go like this: What was your reason or purpose of your call to 911? And in the video, the time limit where you can find this is 3 minutes 22 seconds on the other side in the same video. The other one also says, another evidence to that effect was, what was the relationship between you and Kenneth? The time, you'll find that in the video, the time zone is 3:24. So we also have, when was the last time you saw Ken. That is timeline 326. There were some close-ended questions too. So what it means is over here is that these open-ended questions are the ones that make it possible that you are the suspect has a leeway of saying what he wanted to say. He's not pinned down to anything just because of the nature of the investigation. So the close-ended questions too are we have hold on, excuse me. I'm just trying to adjust this here. It's not helping me out. Yeah. So we'll just look at that from a different perspective. Then we have the line. We have the line of Oh, sorry. We pass by the line of. Okay. We'll go to indicator of truthfulness observed. In this particular section, we are looking at various indicators. We have the indicators of truthfulness observed or indicators of deception. So we'll first look at indicators of truthfulness. The suspect made some truthful statement, and they are as follows. He called the RCMP to report of his truck incident in the possession of Kenneth, and the time on the video with 3:30. So Fraser confessed that he used to grow marijuana in his place, but the RCMP came to shut it down. He was then commended for his loyalty and truthfulness by the detective, and it's also will be found on the timeline 344. At the time of telling the truth, he was full of confidence, and his body language was of a positive connotation. Hence, the detector realized it. All the other things he said proved contrary to what we saw in the other video, where if he's not telling the truth and he's trying to put some kind of deception quotation, it also reflects in his body language. So we're now going to look at the deception indicators. So Mr. Fraser demonstrated a series of deception in his choice of words, lack of self-reference, and lack of detail. These are some of the statements in which these could be found. One, he said, when he was asked if Damien and Kenneth were doing the growing, he just said Barry, without further details about the place, even though the detective pushed him. So will be found in the 3-minute timeline of the video. He was found questioning the detective or the questioner by saying, "Why would someone sell his vehicle?" And it's on the timeline 352, or via the video duration. So meaning that he was trying to get angry and question the detective. It's all a sign of the deception. Is an indicator of deception. He asks questions, he becomes very restless, and he got a bit angry and started demanding for his vehicle. So where is my truck? Can I get my truck back? The timeline was 3:49. His verbal tenses were not forthcoming. He choked when he was inquiring about the truck and other stuff. So these were all indications that of deception, which mean that he has something to hide or not telling the truth. The next slide will be the body language, and body language is a factor that normally tells the detective that there's something that is going on, or there will be a confession to that effect, because the person feels very restless. And so we'll look at it from this standpoint: an indication of nervousness and outright deception was written all over the suspects. When the detective asks of the whereabouts of Ken, he unconsciously leaned forward and adjusted his seat in that video. He was asked, when was the last time you saw Ken? And then the detective asked, what was the relationship between you and Ken? See, occasionally when the detective took leave of him for a while, he would take in a deep breath as a sign of great relief. He keeps leaning forward, crosses his legs, and closing himself up by folding his hands. He will occasionally rest his head in his palm. He was quiet for some seconds. Then he said he couldn't make the name out while playing with his hands. The video timeline shows it. So he kept fidgeting with his hands, and so it made it very clear to the detective that there was something that was unusual. So based on each case that we find, individuals, detectives, and these interrogators have different ways and tactics of trying to go around any suspect. So in the case of Fraser, Mr. Fraser became so uncomfortable that he kept leaning forward whenever a question of whereabouts of the two guys is mentioned. Anytime the detective left, he takes a deep breath and has his hand folded with his chin supported by the hand and two leg cross. The detective used the non-accusatory process. And